41 candidates contesting BMC elections have criminal cases registered against them, and as per the information by the State Election Commission of Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, the party which has been in power for the last 25 years, tops the list with highest number of candidates having criminal records against them. That's 41 candidates, followed by MNS with 39 candidates, BJP with 23 candidates, and NCP and Congress, they have equal score here with 19 candidates each.
The party's responsibility, any party which is contesting, to ensure they do a background check to eliminate these kind of contestants, because what it tells us as a citizen is that they don't care about the law.
या अगर उन्होंने कौन सा ही गलत काम किया तो वो कलम ऐसा निकालने का कि उसको पार्टी में कभी भी चांस देना नहीं चाहिए.
What kind of a change and what kind of an effect they are going to have towards our society? So now even it's a big question mark for me whether I should vote or not.
First we should check on what are their requirements, what background they have, then they should given such candidates who are elections के लिए you should put on. Then we ourselves will be safe on our sides कि we are voting somebody very responsible person.
मैं नहीं अग्री करती, ये क्रिमिनल बैकग्राउंड के कैंडिडेट्स को टिकट्स ही नहीं मिलना चाहिए, और मिला और वो जीत भी गए तो हमारे वोट के लिए क्या करेंगे.
All those who are contesting with those criminal backgrounds, they should not contest because it's not legally also right, and you should have a clear background for all that.
First, you have to set a right example. To set a right example, you need to actually show what bad you have done in your earlier past and what good you will be doing towards the citizen or towards the future of India. So I would like to say, clean the plate and then go for the public, and then public will support you anyhow.
Well, this is information, viewers, coming directly from the State Election Commission. They have collated all of the information from the affidavits declared by the candidates themselves. And it is disappointing to see the number of people who are running for office in our city and in our neighbouring city of Pune who have cases against them. The Shiv Sena leading that tally at 41 cases. And of course, there will be an argument of how many of those cases are serious. Let me point out to you, several of those cases are serious. Out of the 41, 28 from the Shiv Sena have serious criminal charges against them. There you have it. 28 from the Shiv Sena have serious criminal charges against them, and these are all candidates in the BMC elections. The MNS has 22 people running for office with serious charges against them. The Congress has 16, and we'll give you the names of these people. The BJP has 14, and the NCP has 16. These are the people who are running for election. We have to remind you, the Election Commission has told us they will be putting this information up outside every polling booth with relevance to who's running from that particular constituency. But we should also let you know that the information will be put up only in Marathi. So if you're unable to read Marathi, you will not be able to access that information, which is why we've got it up on our screen today. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. Representation from all parties. We'll discuss how to go forward right now. Why in this election do we have such a massive representation of people with criminal records, as they have declared themselves? That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Well, in the run-up to the elections in the BMC, which take place on Tuesday next week, that's voting day, we're going to try and give you as much information as we possibly can to help you make a smart decision. That's the commitment that we've given to the city of Mumbai. On your screen right now is information that we have sourced from the Election Commission. The Election Commission has gone through affidavits that have been signed by each candidate. And this is what we have found. Candidates with criminal charges, as per their own affidavits, as per the Election Commission, on your screen right now, criminal charges and serious criminal charges. We're going to find out why we are being held to ransom right now by people with criminal histories. Aren't there people available in this massive city who can run for office who don't have criminal histories? Why is it that every political party is still fielding candidates that have histories against them? Also, I'd like to point out that there are some people whose affidavits were rejected by the Election Commission, after which tickets were handed over to their family members, to wives and husbands of that criminal who are now running for election. Let me welcome into this conversation Clyde Crasto, spokesperson of the NCP, Kumar Ketkar, chief editor of the Dainik Divya Marathi, who joins us in the Bangalore studio. We're very glad to have Mr. Ketkar. He's a very, very senior analyst of politics. Raju Waghmare, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Yogesh Verma from the BJP. Rajeev Mishra is an activist. Swapnil Kothari is a very senior lawyer, and since we're talking about crime, it makes sense to have a senior lawyer on the panel. Ashok Ravat is an RTI activist. I want to welcome all of the gentlemen into the conversation today. I want to start with Mr. Ketkar. Mr. Ketkar, you heard the numbers as I was calling them out. Somehow, I know that when our reporters went out and spoke to people on the street, they were disappointed that these are our choices, that somehow political parties are still fielding people with criminal records.
Well, actually, one has to see in this context that most of the parties do not see whether anybody has a criminal record or not. And another thing is, we do not consider corruption as a crime in this particular list. Corruption is a crime, but we don't record here. Here, the crime is as identified with the police department. So actually, if corruption is included, perhaps the number will be more. But that is not the issue. The issue is most of the parties, all parties, decide the candidature of a person on the basis of his winnability or electability. That winnability factor is often based on how much clout or how much muscle power or how much money power that particular candidate has got. But it also has to be recognized that many people with muscle power and money power and with clout are actually operating among the masses directly with them. And the so-called absolutely honest, decent, white-collar intellectual is not connected with the masses at all. So parties have to get their members elected. So naturally they choose people who are connected, and then they have to choose between those who are connected and are also clean. That number happens to be quite small, and therefore winnability factor wins, and therefore in winnability quotient all parties cynically choose person irrespective of his criminal record. That's a dangerous thing. That's a bad thing, but unfortunately that has become a cynical view of most of the parties.
Well, that's a very disappointing thing to hear as a voting citizen, that parties will only choose people who can win, not necessarily because of their track record. In many cases, ignoring their track record. I want to bring in Yogesh Verma. Your party's entire campaign is based on transparency. And the track record isn't fantastic. BJP has 23 people in Mumbai, 14 of which have serious criminal charges. These are your candidates in Mumbai. And it's not a one-off. In Pune, 22 of your candidates have charges, 14 of which are serious charges. What transparency are we talking about, Yogesh Verma? If anything, if you wanted the voters to believe your transparency argument, the BJP should have picked people with no criminal track record at all. That would have been an excellent example to set.
देखिए, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि राजनीति का मतलब ही संघर्ष है. दो टाइप के लोग होते हैं. मैं तो रोज़ सुबह मैसेज देखता हूँ. बहुत सारे लोग मैसेज बहादुर होते हैं. बहुत सारे लोग दिन भर बैठे बैठे लेटर लिखते रहते हैं. लेकिन लोगों के बीच जाना, लोगों के बीच समस्याएं सुलझाना. देखो, ये मुंबई में हम लोग 70% स्लम के बीच स्लम के बीच रहते हैं. स्लम में ब्लूट लेगर्स होते हैं, ड्रग के माफियाज होते हैं, बड़े बड़े क्रिमिनल्स होते हैं, हिस्ट्री शीटर्स होते हैं. उनके सामने संघर्ष करने वाला व्यक्ति जो लोगों को न्याय दिला सके. आपको पता है, वाटर माफिया होता है. वाटर माफिया, एक पानी का नल होता है, सामने बेचारी 10 औरतें 50 औरतें हंडा लेकर के खड़ी रहती हैं. और वो जो गुंडा होता है, जो लोकल माफिया होता है, सुनिए ना, वो जो गुंडा होता है और वो लोगों को रोकता है. उसके सामने जो भी व्यक्ति उनके साथ संघर्ष करता है, और संघर्ष के अंदर हो सकता है कि पुलिस केस हो, और पुलिस तो इसका मतलब ये है कि वो अपराधी हो गया. आप कैसे उसको डिसाइड कर सकते हैं कि वो अपराधी है? क्रिमिनल ये शब्द वो संघर्ष करने वाले के साथ जो है, जब इमरजेंसी चार्जशीट होना भी कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है. इमरजेंसी के वक्त जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस हथकड़ियों के बीच रह करके और उन्होंने चुनाव लड़ा था. और इमरजेंसी दूर करने के लिए उन्होंने संघर्ष किया था.
अगर बीएमसी सबके घरों में पानी पहुंचाती होती, if there was water coming to everybody's houses, there would be no need for a water mafia.
देखिए,
if there was actual law
and के बीच में नहीं जाते हैं. ये हमारे जो एक सो कॉल्ड एलिट वर्ग जो है, उनको बेचारे गरीबों की समस्याओं से कोई लेना देना नहीं होता है। वो हर चीज के ऊपर टिक्का टिप्पणी कर सकते हैं क्योंकि उनको सब चीज आसानी से मिल गई, लेकिन उनका क्या, जो स्लम में रहते हैं उनके लिए कोई संघर्ष नहीं करेगा। और वहां पर अगर लेटर लिखने
we
से
have gone
और सब
into
करने
every
से-
slum in Mumbai and spoken to the people who are voting from there. I'm going to ask my producer to get those voices ready. The voices of people in Mumbai who have told us what problems they are facing, whether it is water or anything else, and how often their cooperators actually come there to help. It's going to take a minute to get those ready because they were not ready for today's show. But as soon as I'm ready, we're going to play those out. But I take offense to this. Swapnil Kothari, I take offense to the fact that I'm holding out a list of criminal charges. And I'm told that I don't understand this city because I don't face the problems in the city. I face plenty of problems in the city. This is offensive. And these are affidavits declared by the candidates themselves. I am not calling anybody a criminal. This is information released by the Election Commission of the state that we are just putting on the screen without color of every political party. How does this make you feel, Swapnil?
Well, I feel terribly disappointed at this in the first place that the political parties seem to be fielding the candidates who are facing charges, criminal charges and serious criminal charges. I think, if I were to grant a little bit of a leniency there, I would draw a distinction between the criminal charges and serious criminal charges.
Tell us what is the difference between serious and regular criminal charges?
Most of the serious criminal charges, as mentioned by the Association for Democratic Reforms report, involve cognizable offences and non-bailable offences. And cognizable offences are the ones where the magistrate has taken a cognizance of an offence under section 190 of CRPC, and where a police officer can arrest without a warrant.
Give us an example of these offences.
Kidnapping, murder, theft, criminal breach of trust. Those are the serious offences. Rape.
Okay. Also,
and the non-serious ones.
Explain this to me, Swapnil Kothari, as a lawyer. These affidavits right now, so I'm looking at these numbers: 22 from the Shiv Sena, 28 from the Shiv Sena, 22 from the MNS, 16 from the Congress, 14 from the BJP, 16 from the NCP. Serious charges. This is obviously involved in investigation. It has reached a magistrate. Is it, can anyone on this panel get away with saying this was a political conspiracy, someone filed a fake claim? Or a fake charge?
No, I don't think so. There cannot be any smoke without fire. And I think the Section 8 of the Representation of Peoples Act 1951, which is the key provision here as far as dealing with these criminal offences are concerned, and which involves disqualifications on these grounds, clearly stipulates under subsection 1 that when you have these serious criminal charges, section 153A, which is promoting religious enmity. And the reason why I'm mentioning these is because these are pertinent to most of the parties that you mentioned. Enmity on the basis of religious differences, section 171E, bribery, section 171F, which is personation for an election or undue influence, then prevention of insults to National Honor Act, where you insult your flag, etc. Prevention of terrorism, prevention of corruption.
These are serious.
Absolutely, and there cannot be smoke without fire. And I would want that people who are facing these kind of charges should not be even fielding themselves in the first place. And Faye, you're talking about the declared affidavits. What about the people who have not declared some of the things on their affidavits? What about those? That itself is a perjury and an offence under the CRPC and under the IPC. So under the IPC, in fact. So something which is not declared is not known to us.
Absolutely.
So I think that is something which really calls for introspection by the political parties.
Ashok Ravat, you're looking at the numbers right now, and we have more numbers to put up through the course of this show. We'll also release names of people with the most number of cases against them. But this argument that this is politics, Ashok Ravat, this is how the slums are run, that you have to be a criminal to be able to control the criminals, I refuse to buy that argument, because this is how we create a water mafia, by fielding and voting for people who are criminals to begin with.
See, actually it seems that each party has got some reservation for criminals, and that is the reason. As Mr. Ketkar said, it is the winnability or the capacity to get elected, and that capacity may be by criminal means. And if the parties want to accept that particular thing as the criteria, then I think there is the lack of transparency as far as approaching voters is concerned. And as you rightly said, it is not acceptable to the common voter.
Raju Waghmare, does your party have a reservation for criminals? Because it seems like that.
See, if Mr. Rawat is saying that we are totally disagree on this part, the situation is this, that it's not that does not mean that we are okay with the criminals. In Congress party, we are not at all. It is a zero tolerance for the criminals who can stand for the election and who can come into the, in fact, who can enter our party.
Mr. Shivaji Rao Bhagwat Salve has six cases against him from the Congress party.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
See what happened in this kind of process, as Honorable Mr. Ketkar says, that the party should have this process of selection of the candidate. In that candidation selection process, the party must be or should be asking to candidate that whether they have any criminal cases or not. And then this kind of people, that whether party has to have the rights to give them tickets or not. But this kind of process, the party is not any, I don't know any party is following. Congress is also not following.
You're not asking, you're telling me that you're not asking your candidates before giving them a ticket.
No. See what
Do you have a criminal case against you?
No.
How is that possible?
We ask, but it is not like the candidates are giving the complete information.
So you're not doing any homework? There's no background checks being done by any of the parties?
Background checks has been done. See, all the charges in this kind of situations are not you can say that 100% the charges are right, but there are certain cases the political and animosity create, and the people wanted to put people into the net and trying to...
How will you get to a charge-sheeted case if I'm just trying to get
I'll give you...
If there is no proof...
No, I'll give you...
So are you telling me now that the police are actually filing false charge sheets?
No. See, simple thing, if somebody is asking certain donation or something, a person on other side can put that he is threatening and extorting money from me for 2,000 rupees.
What donation
and
is
that
somebody
extortion,
asking for?
No, it is the political situation that people makes. And this is happening. That does not mean that the politics has to be clean. That is what Congress says. That is what I believe. And I totally agree with you. The criminal should not be contesting the election. Criminal should not be in the politics. But we have to analyze that criminal charges.
It sounds to me that we are making excuses
behind it.
It sounds to me like we're making excuses that the only way to win an election in the BMC is if you are a criminal to begin with. Clyde Crasto, NCP's tally is 19 criminal charges, 19 candidates with criminal charges, 16 of which have serious charges. And in Pune, where the NCP is very strong, you hit the top of the tally. 25 people with charges in Pune, 15 of which have serious charges against them in Pune. So obviously this is a pattern crime. What is the excuse? Is NCP not asking questions, not doing background checks, or does the party not care that these people have charges against them?
See, I'm not going to make any excuses whatsoever. And if you hear me out, so I'm going to talk to you about the way it is. See, the data that you have, I mean, we also have our own data and we do our background search. Now, there are a lot of these people who have cases against them acceptable, but these cases are part of, a functioning of an organization. Now, when you have a rally or when you have a gathering where you are demonstrating against, some kind of a thing that you do not want. Now, there are cases on a lot of these people who are contesting, cases of 143, 144. It's like, unlawful assembly or rioting. So a lot of these cases happen because, you are agitating or you are in a rally. Now, I'll give an example. A
serious criminal, according to Swapnil Kothari, who's the lawyer, he has said that serious criminal charges are rape, murder, extortion. Does extortion fit, Swapnil?
None of these charges are there on any of our candidates in Mumbai city. I have spoken to them.
According to the Election Commission, there are 16 people from the NCP with serious criminal charges against them.
You point me out if any of these have any rape charges or murder or extortion charges. You point out to me. Now let me finish. There are a lot of these people. I'll give an example of our office secretary. When you are trying to conduct a rally or you're trying to do a demonstration, you have to write a letter seeking certain permissions. Now, after the demonstration is over, the police calls upon the office secretary, and there are cases filed against the office secretary because he's written a letter asking for that permission. Now, having said that, if you're going to talk about people who have criminal backgrounds and there are cases, I'll tell you, our party, we are fielding 174.
Babu Bateli has 3 cases against him from the NCP.
Yeah, but like none of these cases are what you've mentioned about whether it's rape or murder and extortion charges. None of these charges.
But these are cases that the NCP is okay with.
No.
You're comfortable with these cases.
No. See, I'll tell you something. If there's any criminal case, you cannot be comfortable about it. Like I said, we will not accept the fact that, like Mr. Verma said, that if you're contesting an election and if you're representing a slum, you need to have certain kind of a background. No, that's not acceptable, and there shouldn't be any disparity between the elite class or the slum. Everyone is the same. A voter is equal to everybody. So there shouldn't be no disparity. Having said that, I also want to point out to you another fact. Our party is the party. We have 174 candidates contested the election, and we have 96 women candidates. One of the highest numbers in terms of...
Which is fantastic, but don't divert from the question I'm asking you. Why do you have 25 people in Pune who have cases against them?
Like I said on the onset when I started, I'm not making any excuses, nor do I want to make any excuses. But at the same time, we have fielded candidates who have come from professional backgrounds. They are people who have a strata. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have architects, we have teachers who are representing in our party. So there are a few of them who have criminal records. We accept it, but those are not criminal offences.
So while we're talking about it, Riddhi Kursunge, if I say that right, from the NCP in 2012 had assets of a little over 2 crore rupees. She now has 113 crore rupees. That's a percentage increase of 3,900% in 5 years. Now, if we are comfortable with our candidates, and I believe every political party should be comfortable with their candidates, Clyde Crasto, in what universe can one person's asset worth go up 3,900% in 5 years? What job is this? Please tell us, because we'd all like to apply.
Well, that was a good punch that you put in there. The thing is, I will need to get into the details of this. Thank you for letting us know about this thing, because, this is not very clear with us. Also, at the same time, over a period of 5, this is not like the actual cash assets or, some kind of a thing that...
These are all, let me point out again one more time, these are all self-attested affidavits put out by these members themselves. So I'm not making up these numbers. This is an affidavit she has signed and given to the Election Commission. Sure, her net worth has gone up 400%, 4,000%.
Yeah, but it could also be the increase in the value of the properties that she owns. And
hang on. Let me put this up on screen, because we've come prepared for this show for every argument that you can give us. Gold as an asset class over the last 5 years gave a CAGR of 3.93%, 3%. The Sensex, 4.95%, let's round that off to 5% over the last 5 years. Real estate in Mumbai has gone up. I am not exaggerating. We do this on a regular basis, 5% on an average in Mumbai in the last 5 years. We've had really bad markets for the real estate market. Bank FDs have given an average of between 7.5% and 8.5%. I don't see a single asset class, Clyde Crasto, that gives 3,900% as a return over 5 years. There is no way to justify, given how our GDP has grown, given how the markets have moved, given how real estate has moved, given how gold has moved, unless this is a completely criminal collection of wealth, there is no way to explain this. Please, Swapnil, go ahead.
Well, I'll just like to remind Mr. Crasto about this, as what Faye pointed out, is that behind every big fortune there is a crime, said Balzac. And the other thing that what I would suggest to Mr. Crasto is that if any of his party members, if they feel that false criminal cases have been slapped against them, nothing would stop them to approach the Bombay High Court under the Section 482 of CRPC to get those criminal proceedings squashed on the ground that, look, I want to contest an election. This is against me, and this will hurt me, and let me just get myself clear about this.
But actually, Swapnil, tell me this. Swapnil. So it's obviously uncomfortable for a candidate right now to have to put it in the affidavit that I have 16 cases against me or 5 cases against me. In that case, if they tried and couldn't get that case squashed, how serious is the offence we're talking about then?
Well, if they couldn't get the case squashed, then I'm sure there is some merit to what the case has been slapped against. And fortunately, what these cases against whom these against the people whom these cases have been slapped is that the word convicted has been used in the Representation of People's Act. So you can have n number of cases against you, but unless and until you are convicted. And one of the best things that the Supreme Court did in 2013 was to declare 8.4 Representation of People's Act Section 8 subsection 4 as ultra vires the Constitution, where it was allowing a 3 months window to the people who are convicted to go to a higher court. So they quashed that as unconstitutional. So anybody who was convicted had immediately to cede office if that person was in office.
Now people who are convicted have gotten tickets for their wives or their husbands, and that's also something that's happening in this particular election. Now I just want to point this out. Now I want to appreciate the fact that the BJP, the Congress and the NCP have come in on this panel and they're answering our questions. The Shiv Sena repeatedly refuses to come into these conversations, and I'm not surprised, because on the top of all the tallies is the Shiv Sena. The Shiv Sena has 41 candidates in this election in Mumbai who have charges against them. We're going to put that up on the screen, and the Shiv Sena is not here to defend itself, but we're going to continue to put out this information. And of the people who have the most number of cases against them, again, the Shiv Sena has 28 people with serious criminal charges against them. If we look at the Pune numbers, 24 people from the Sena, 20 of which have serious criminal cases against them. Rajendra Suryavanshi has 12 cases against him. He's with the Shiv Sena. Rajan Pandey has 9 cases against them. He's with the Shiv Sena. Raju Shripad Padnekar has 9 cases against them. He's with the Shiv Sena. Anant Nar has 6 cases against him. He's with the Shiv Sena. If we look at the unexplained growth in wealth, Shiv Sena topping that list again. Sharad Jadhav from the Shiv Sena has his wealth growing 1,593%. Shraddha Jadhav, I beg your pardon, in the last 5 years. Trishna Vishwasrao from the Shiv Sena, 650% growth in her net worth. Balchandra Matre of the Shiv Sena, 733% growth in the net worth. Sujata Petikaran from the Shiv Sena, 3,244% growth in net worth. I don't know how we can explain any of this. Kumar Ketkar, these numbers are shocking. And none of the explanations I have received so far seem satisfactory.
No, absolutely. These numbers are shocking, and these parties must introspect and must not give tickets, whether it is Congress, Shiv Sena, BJP or anybody. But the question is also, we have to recognize the process it has happened so far. Earlier, in the 50s, 60s, 70s and even up to 80s, the candidates were selected on the basis of social work in that particular constituency. Corporation constituencies are very small. Social work is identifiable, from running blood banks to distributing textbooks to poor students to organizing some kind of social work. All that was considered by the parties as the legitimate work for getting ticket. Slowly, the process became that if you want to acquire power, if you want to actually achieve power, you have to have numbers. And so number became the issue and not the ability to work and connect with people. When number became an issue, electoral logistics came into play. And in electoral logistics, sometimes there are people who stand only to create a balance or an imbalance in that particular constituency or in the whole area. As a result, what happens is every party is looking at the other party's candidates who is there, who can be defeated by a kind of a muscle man. And also, don't forget, Indian electorate as well as Indian candidates are very funny. Some of the muscle men are not just muscle men. They are not only criminals, registered criminals, convicted criminals also sometimes, but they are also doing some social work, like running kabaddi matches, running kho-kho matches, doing some social work, organizing Ganpati Utsav, sending hundreds and thousands of bucks to Shirdi. All their finance supported by all these corporators. So naturally those bucks are actually grateful to this criminal candidate who organized their visit to Shirdi or to some kind of Ganpati Pule or somewhere. And so as a result, social work,
Mr. Ketkar, maximum criminal charges right now are against candidates from ruling parties. Do you see that as another trend, that there's another pattern there?
Exactly.
That the Shiv Sena, BJP together combined have the maximum charges against them?
Absolutely, that has been a trend for last so many years because they have learnt that it is necessary to capture power because only by capturing power they get access to money and they get access to privileges. And for getting access to money and access to privileges, it is essential to invest money. And that investment comes not by a normal course. That investment also has to come from non-normal course.
Right,
and that non-normal course is invariably crime. And that's how crime gets into the politics.
Okay, Clyde, go ahead.
I just want to put in a quick word because I couldn't complete earlier. You mentioned on your graphic Riddhi Kursunge as an NCP candidate. Now, she was an NCP corporator. She's left the party about a year ago and is now, to much delight, she's part of the Shiv Sena now. So I just want to clarify that. I also request you to change the graphic because she's no longer an NCP
Okay, she's with the Shiv
member.
Sena. All right, we'll get that changed. That's the information. Okay, all right. Raju Waghmare.
See, Mr. Ketkar just now said that the party has been changed and the only things they are looking into the how they can win the election. And the why Shiv Sena and BJP are in this process in a higher number. If you see about the BJP latest news last 1 and 2 months time, if you see there is a guy called Baba Bodke was with the CM on his official residence Varsha. The guy has already 4 murder cases registered against him. The another guy in Pune called Shelar, he was with next to Mr. Bapat, who is a minister in this Mr. Fadnavis cabinet.
Yes.
He has
Guardian minister.
Yeah, he has
under. A long list,
One second.
There are lists of every party.
Crasto, 1 second.
So
what happened?
Before you start calling out names,
No.
I must point out to you that I have a list on every party.
1 second. So what happened? Right now, the BJP has decided that they wanted to win at any cost. When the CM can put a cabinet ministers in his cabinet, those ministers are already being charged by CBI. Those ministers have been already charged by the police.
I have to give Yogesh Verma an opportunity to respond. Yogesh Verma, please respond to that.
So when all these things are happening in BJP,
मुझे लगता है कि राजू वाघमारे
and then
उस बात को भूल गए.
They cannot say that.
टाडा यहाँ पर था और पूरा मुंबई और महाराष्ट्र गैंग वॉर में जल रहा था और गोपीनाथ मुंडे ये यहाँ के उप मुख्यमंत्री और गृह मंत्री थे. उन्होंने सबसे ज्यादा मुंबई को गुंडों से फ्री करने का उन्होंने काम किया. क्रिमिनलाइजेशन ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स, सुनिए ना मेरी बात, क्रिमिनलाइजेशन ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स ये वर्ड जो शुरू हुआ है वो कांग्रेस और यहाँ के गुंडों का, गैंगस्टर्स का जो नेक्सस.
There are gangsters now in BJP.
आपके जयंत सूर्यराव ये टाडा में एक्यूज रहे.
मिस्टर वर्मा अभी की बात कीजिए, हम अभी की इलेक्शन की बात कर रहे हैं, हम अभी की आपकी ट्रांसपेरेंसी की बात कर रहे हैं.
ये टाडा में थे, आपके पार्टी के पदाधिकारी थे.
मिस्टर वर्मा, योगेश वर्मा,
देवेंद्र फडणवीस जी ये रोज हजारों लोगों को मिलते हैं और कोई भी आकर के उनके साथ फोटो खींचता है. अगर देखिए
all the criminals in Maharashtra and all the criminals
ये criminalization of politics ये शुरू करने वाली कांग्रेस है.
It is done by देवेंद्र
इसका इतना बड़ा इतिहास है. criminalization of politics इसके ऊपर ना बोलेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा.
No, Mr. Verma जी
होना चाहिए कि यही मंत्रालय में जब कांग्रेस की सरकार थी तो दाऊद इब्राहिम को मंत्रालय से फोन जाते थे.
Gentlemen, I beg you not to waste time on my show by yelling at each other. Raju Waghmare, Yogesh Verma, please pipe down. 1 second. Rajeev Mishra, ये जो बोला जा रहा है criminalization of politics, that you have to be a criminal in order to manage criminals, कि आप लोगों को मालूम नहीं कि स्लम में क्या हो रहा है, कि वाटर माफिया कैसे काम करते हैं. राजीव मिश्रा वर्क्स विद द स्लम्स ऑन अ रेगुलर बेसिस. आप बताइए हमें वाटर माफिया और क्रिमिनल्स स्लम्स में क्या कर रहे हैं. राजीव,
फिर सबसे पहले मैं आपको ये बताना चाहता हूं कि जो आपने लिस्ट सामने रखी है उसके अगर आप अंडर सेक्शन देखेंगी, आईपीसी अंडर सेक्शन अगर आप देखेंगी तो उससे मालूम चलता है कि ये वाटर माफियाओं के खिलाफ लड़ने वाले लोग हैं या क्रिमिनल हैं. आपको मैं बता दूं 302, 363, 354, 353, 324, 325.
इसका मतलब क्या होता है?
मैं बता रहा हूँ. इसमें से 302 is murder, 363 इज रिलेटेड टू द किडनैपिंग, उसके बाद आपको अब 465, 467, 468 दीज आर द फ्रॉजरी, 420 इज द चीटिंग। इस तरह के केसेस वाटर माफियाओं के साथ लड़ने वालों के खिलाफ नहीं लगते हैं, ये क्रिमिनल्स माइंडेड जो लोग होते हैं ये उनके ऊपर लगते हैं। और दूसरा एक इंपॉर्टेंट बात फिर मैं आपको बताना चाहता था, जो कि मुझे थोड़ा, मैं आप चाहूंगा कि 2 मिनट का मेरे को केवल समय दें। देखिए 437 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर में ये पूरी मुंबई है, और इस मुंबई की जो 60% आबादी है वो चौल में रहती है। मुझे ये देख करके हैरानी होती है कि जहां पर 65% आबादी चौल में और झोपड़पट्टी में रहती है, वहां 489 करोड़पति म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन में जाने को तैयार बैठे हैं 10,000 के मानधन के लिए, और कहते हैं कि हम समाज सेवा करने वहां जा रहे हैं। तो ये देख करके मुझे खुशी हो रही है कि भाई इस मुंबई में 489 करोड़पति लोगों की सेवा करना चाहते हैं। दूसरा एक इंपॉर्टेंट बात, दूसरा एक और इंपॉर्टेंट बात मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि जो लोग आप जब भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के पास आप डिस्कशन में लाएंगी, वो कुछ न कुछ पॉलिटिकल तर्क दे करके अपने आप को बचाने की कोशिश करते हैं। लेकिन मैं आपको बताऊं, हर कोई निश्चित तौर पे जो कुमार केतकर साहब कह रहे थे, मैं उनसे पूरी तरह सहमत हूं कि कहीं ना कहीं ये विक्ट्री पॉलिसी है कि अगर क्रिमिनल जीत रहा है तो क्रिमिनल को ही दे दो। और इसमें मैं ये मान के चलता हूं कुमार केतकर साहब के अनुसार ही कि हम लोग भी दोषी हैं, क्योंकि हम लोगों को ये जानकारी लेना और उसको मतदान करना ही जरूरी है। कि अभी अगर आप देखो, एक क्रिमिनल अगर चाहे तो तुरंत में 20, 25, 50 लोगों को मैनेज कर लेता है, उनको रोड पे ले आता है। लेकिन एक शरीफ आदमी एक अच्छे काम के लिए अगर एक सिग्नेचर कैंपेन करने को भी निकलता है तो लोग उसको सपोर्ट नहीं करते हैं। दिस इज द ड्रॉबैक ऑफ द सोसाइटी, दिस इज द ड्रॉबैक ऑफ द सोसाइटी। मैं आपसे ये निवेदन करूंगा कि अगर आपका चैनल इस मामले में बहुत सीरियस है तो मेरा आपसे निवेदन है कि आप इस बात को इनकरेज कीजिए कि लोग शरीफों के साथ खड़े हों, क्रिमिनल्स को बाइकआउट करें और जितना हद तक हो सके क्रिमिनल्स के पीछे घूमना बंद करें। थोड़ा सा लोगों की भी मजबूरी आज क्या है, फिर आपको मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि आजकल दबंग राजनीति, फिर 1 मिनट में मैं खत्म करूंगा, 1 मिनट में। आजकल दबंग राजनीति का जोर पकड़ लिया है। दबंग राजनीति का मतलब क्या है? आप वार्ड ऑफिसर के पास जाएंगे, दबंगता से बोलेंगे तो आपका काम हो जाएगा। आप पुलिस ऑफिसर के पास जाते हैं, अगर दबंग हैं तो आपको बिठा करके वो कॉफी पिलाते हैं, अगर आप शरीफ हैं तो आपको केबिन के बाहर रखते हैं। दिस इज द सिचुएशन पे कि एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ऑफिसर्स भी गुंडों का सम्मान करने लगे हैं, और यही कारण है कि आज लोग अपने काम के लिए गुंडों के पास जा रहे हैं। दिस इज द मेन प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द सोसाइटी।
राइट। Yogesh Verma, I'm going to ask you the same question I have asked you in the beginning of the show. All other parties set aside, the BJP's entire campaign is based on one word, and that word is transparency. You have put out, or some of the supporters of the BJP have put out, a very amusing cartoon of the Shiv Sena with 2 tigers on corruption and how the BJP is this big lion that will stop the corruption. So in that light, tell me how these criminals, and I'm going to call them criminals, people with cases against them, how does this fit into the plan of transparency that Mr. Devendra Fadnavis has brought to us for this election? How is this part of that entire plan of transparency, Mr. Yogesh Verma?
भारतीय जनता पार्टी का हमेशा ही संघर्ष क्रिमिनलाइजेशन के खिलाफ रहा है, और ट्रांसपेरेंसी ये हमारा सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा है। आज तक जो चला, आज तक ट्रांसपेरेंसी किसी भी काम में नहीं रही, आज तक साधारण लोगों को न्याय नहीं मिला, आज तक जो बिल्कुल मुंबई का आम नागरिक था उसको न्याय नहीं मिला। उसको न्याय देने के लिए स्वच्छ प्रशासन, ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रशासन, ये लाने के लिए
आप लोग पिछले 20 साल से गठबंधन में शिवसेना के साथ बीएमसी चला रहे हो। इट इज ट्रू दैट द नंबर, इफ वी लुक एट द नंबर्स ऑफ पीपल विद क्रिमिनल केसेस, द बीजेपी हैज candidates who are contesting who have serious criminal charges against them both in Mumbai and in Pune. मुझे बस आप ये समझाइए, ये आपके ट्रांसपेरेंसी वाले प्लान में कहाँ फिट आती है?
देखिए, आप चाहते हैं कि आगे ट्रांसपेरेंसी की हम बातें नहीं करें, इसका मतलब
आप प्लीज बात कीजिए, लेकिन जब आप बात कर रहे
हैं, भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने अगर ट्रांसपेरेंसी की बात कही है तो उससे आपको ऑब्जेक्शन है?
नहीं, प्लीज बात कीजिए, but also show us in action, show us evidence in action of transparency, show us evidence in action that you are serious about transparency. इससे तो नहीं लग रहा है मुझे।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी का लोग अगर मेयर जिता के देंगे तो हम क्या ट्रांसपेरेंसी में कर सकते हैं? और वो देवेंद्र फडणवीस के खिलाफ सबसे बड़ी लड़ाई भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने लड़ी है। गुंडों के खिलाफ भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने सबसे बड़ी लड़ाई लड़ी है। क्रिमिनलाइजेशन, आप एक भी कैंडिडेट ऐसा बताइए जो गैंगस्टर हो, एक भी कैंडिडेट ऐसा बताइए जो बम ब्लास्ट में इन्वॉल्व हो। अरे आप जिस पार्टी से हैं उस पार्टी में पूरे मुंबई को 93 ब्लास्ट में बचाने वाले माजिद मेमन को, जिसने सब बम ब्लास्ट के एक्यूज को बचाने का काम किया, ऐसे को आप ला करके संसद में भेजते हैं, आप राज्यसभा का सदस्य बनाते हैं और आप मुझे क्रिमिनलाइजेशन ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स के बारे में बता रहे हैं। आपको आपके टेन्योर के अंदर मंत्रालय से दाऊद इब्राहिम को फोन जाता था, आपके टेन्योर के अंदर आपके कई पदाधिकारियों को टाड़ा में उठा करके बंद किया गया। आप क्रिमिनलाइजेशन
One second, gentlemen.
जनता पार्टी के
Yogesh Verma, एक मिनट।
आप भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कोई भी ये सिखाने की कोशिश न करे।
योगेश वर्मा,
लड़ाई कैसे रही? मुंबई अध्यक्ष इस भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने गवाया है। फिरोज कोंकणी नाम का गैंगस्टर ने उसको शूट किया था।
वो कार्टून चला दीजिए।
एक्टिविस्ट को आप लोग क्योंकि वो ट्रांसपेरेंसी की बातें कर रहे हैं।
योगेश वर्मा जी, आप खामखा अपसेट मत हो जाइए। अब यू डोंट गेट अपसेट। I asked you a very simple question, Mr. Verma. In fact, we are showing this. One second.
हमारा मुंबई अध्यक्ष गवाया।
नहीं,
कुमार शर्मा जिसने दाऊद इब्राहिम के अनऑथराइज्ड बिल्डिंगों के खिलाफ संघर्ष किया, उसको सरेआम गोली मार दी गई। आप उसको बता रहे हैं? भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता केरला में कम्युनिस्टों के खिलाफ लड़ रहे हैं।
मिस्टर वर्मा, मुझे एक मिनट दे दीजिए।
लोगों के संघर्ष को आप क्रिमिनलाइजेशन ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स
मुझे एक मिनट दे
क्रिमिनलों को
दीजिए।
जस्टिफिकेशन कर रहे हैं।
आप मुझे एक मिनट दे दीजिए। हम by the way, for our audience, we are running that cartoon on our screen right now that has been put up by some supporters of the BJP. Obviously targeting the Shiv Sena. There you'll see it. That's the cartoon that's running all over Facebook right now. I want to bring in Swapnil Kothari, who came in as a citizen. Swapnil,
yes.
How do you feel now? We're 43 minutes into the show. You've heard all of the arguments. Some of them, most of them overlapping, most of them avoiding the questions that I was asking. Now, as a citizen of this city who's going to vote, how does all of this make you feel?
Well, I think the transparency referred to by Mr. Verma here.
Mr. Verma.
Yeah, Mr. Verma here is, I think, referring to, some of the cases that have been filed against the BMC officials for corruption or that they've been put behind bars. One, some hoardings that have come up. Then three, coming out with a mobile app at some point in the future, which is going to monitor the expenditure of every single candidate that's going to that's on the electoral rolls, and a couple of other provisions or a couple of other measures that have been taken by. So to be fair on that count, that's fair enough. But I don't think it is sufficient enough for me to go out and cast my vote. I'll have to first of all, I'll have to thank the Association for Democratic Reforms for coming out with this report, so that I can make an informed judgment. And Faith, just for the benefit of the viewers and just to inform all the panelists, and I'm sure some of them are aware of it, that the Association for Democratic Reforms had filed a case in 2002 in one of the high courts, I don't remember which, for extracting this information that we should know what our candidates are, their educational qualifications, financial background, and criminal background. And they succeeded in the Bombay High Court. And thereafter, the Union of India, which was the then government in 2002, went to the Supreme Court against this judgment and unfortunately lost. That means that the 2002 government wanted to cloister and cloak the government to these would-be candidates or would-be politicians from getting their backgrounds exposed. So of course the Association for Democratic Reforms won, and they made it. They got this right to know.
So you're right in the sense that for the first time as citizens watching at home, अगर आप वोट देने जा रहे हो ट्यूसडे को, तो आपको पता है कि किन किन कैंडिडेट्स के खिलाफ केसेस है, उस पे सीरियस केसेस कितने हैं, और आप चूज कर सकते हो. आप क्रिमिनल्स को कंप्लीटली अवॉइड कर सकते हो, ये आपका हक है. मिस्टर केतकर, Mr. Kumar Ketkar, you've heard all of the arguments, and I was particularly disturbed by the fact that the most vehement argument was, all of the parties are doing this, your party is worse than mine. There seems to be a lack of an argument that, hey, listen, my party doesn't have any of these guys, we didn't field any of these guys, and there seems to be a deterioration of that argument altogether.
Yeah, that's a very cynical argument that my party is better than you, because every party has the criminals in their list as candidates. But the question is, how the criminals manage into the constituency to get actually elected, and that winnability factor works for them. So as it is said often, that it is the people who are responsible is, according to me, a very easy argument, because people have very little choice. Because sometimes, if it is a BJP versus Shiv Sena versus NCP, and if all the candidates are having criminal record, then what choice do you have? You have the choice of nota, which is not any of the above. But that choice does not work in constituencies which are corporation constituencies or Jilla Parishad constituencies. That choice doesn't really work. It is in parliamentary constituency or assembly constituency it works. The factor is the parties must take a position that they will not allot any ticket to any person who has serious criminal charge. I entirely agree with another person who said that sometimes the criminal charges are simply because they are participating in agitation or they are participating in some slogan mongering, which is a part of political activity. That cannot be considered.
That's what I said. This is Clyde. That's what I said.
Sometimes police register criminal cases against them, and that is how it becomes criminal. Take the recent case, very recent case, though it is not.
But Mr. Ketkar, don't they have the opportunity, like Swapnil was pointing out to us, to go to court before the election affidavits and appeal to have those cases against them squashed?
No, that's a very good argument, but that's a typical middle class argument, because the courts will take anything like 20 years. Yeah. The case against Jayalalitha was settled after 19 years. And finally, Jayalalitha was declared guilty by Supreme Court. And if she was alive, would she be declared guilty?
I mean, that was a statement made by Swapnil.
Yeah, Mr. Ketkar, sorry to interrupt you. And, this is normally the perception of the people and a perception of the, the middle class people, etc. Not to count you in that, but the judiciary takes up to 20 years for, quashing a criminal conviction. I think if you demonstrate an urgency that you want to participate in an election and you want to have a very clean record, I don't think it's going to take much time for the High Court to quash that. And if there is merit in your case, and if there isn't, then of course you stay with a criminal charge against you. Or even in the alternative, if the High Court feels that, I cannot quash this case for X reason or Y reason, it can always direct the lower court and say that please dispose of this case within a couple of months or before this election is over. Before this candidate time to apply for the election. Exactly, that's one of the things. And the other thing is that which I wanted to mention is that one of the things, apart from the fact that I do not wish to vote as a citizen for somebody having a criminal record, or not a record, but at least the charges against him, is one of the things that I would request the legislature to do is to amend the Representation of People Act and say that people with serious charges should not be getting tickets at all. Serious criminal charges against them, and some of these, the ones that have been mentioned against their names next to them, they should not be getting tickets in the first place. So that will, endorse Mr. Rajeev Mishra's argument that good people will start coming into, because I'm here to, I would like to find solutions to this, this problem, and to be very fair, Faye, if I'm a political party and I have a provision in the law which says that only if I'm convicted, I'm debarred from participating in an election. If charges are there against me, nothing stops me, even from that. You are appealing to them morally and ethically, but legally, I can still say that, okay, I've got 10 charges, this gentleman has got 10 charges against him, he can still go and fight for an election, and people can make an informed vote and not vote for him. So that, to escape that or to avoid that, I think we need a change in the act itself to stop people from coming in. Such people.
Faye, I'm happy that Mr. Kumar.
I totally agree. I will just make a small point, very small point.
Sure.
I totally agree with this presentation of argument, but the point is there is one moral dimension to it, another is legal dimension to it, and third is political dimension to it. Moral dimension, everybody will conveniently ignore or conveniently argue how they are correct. Legal dimension could take more time. I am not as optimistic about the judiciary as he is, but granting that judiciary is actually working fast in this particular cases, the final argument remains, because we are a political democracy, that political parties must have on them the people's pressure, the citizen pressure, the NGO pressure, that they must not give tickets to criminals.
Absolutely.
And that political pressure must come from citizen organizations, right? Like ADR. ADR created the atmosphere for identifying criminal candidates.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it was not even known.
There is
so
no
ADR
reason.
did a very good work. But essentially, moral, legal, and political, the political pressure is more important than the legal and the moral. I am not denying the importance of legal pressure, changes in the law so that criminals cannot contest, but we must not forget that the politics is more important than law and morality, because law and morality are also in a way part of the political process.
Clyde.
I'm happy that Mr. Ketkar seconded my statement where I said a lot of our candidates have criminal cases because they've been agitating and demonstrating.
Mr. Ketkar also said that as a party you should choose not to give these people tickets.
I'm coming to that. Also, what I want to say is one of the reasons why I didn't get into an argument when Mr. Verma was talking. See, the fact that this is what the people don't want to see. People don't want to see two political parties getting into a slugfest because they want parties that are clean. They want candidates that are clean. And yes, with all humility, I accept the fact as a spokesperson of NCP, yes, there are criminal cases against some of our candidates. Yes, maybe we've erred in some way, but that doesn't stop us from, we will not repeat that mistake again. It's not going to stop us from, getting cleaner and better. So the fact here remains that is, yes, there have been some discrepancies, some problems, but we will improve, we will do better, and we will come to the people clean and much better and help the people and serve the people.
Yeah, Raju, 30 seconds. I have 30 seconds for you.
See, Congress, we always against the criminality and criminality of politicization as usual.
We're back to the beginning of the show, so don't make me call out the numbers one more time.
Situation is like this. If the media and the party like BJP, gives the criminal a higher position, gives them a fame, gives them one kind of justification that yes,
so
for the election we can able to take this criminal and we can win the election.
So now it's
if
the
that criteria has to be changed, then it has to be changed from all the parties. And
I don't understand why the pots are calling the kettles black. I have to wrap up the show, but the truth is this: if there's any party who wanted to take the high ground, all you had to do was take a look at the affidavits and say, I'm sorry, this will make us look bad, it will not make us look transparent, it will not make us look forward thinking, it will not make us look like we're talking business, I can't give you a ticket. But none of the parties, not one party, had the spine to turn these people down. Whether or not you want to argue the legal rights of it and the process of it, if you really wanted to send a clean message to the people who are voting this year, all you had to do was turn these criminals down and say, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you a ticket. We've heard of several other cases where people have been turned down and tickets have not been handed out for various other reasons. This is a damn good reason not to give someone a ticket. But no party has displayed the spine or the conviction to stand by its words, whether those words are transparency or whether those words are the fact that they are against the criminality of politics. There's absolutely no evidence to any of that talk. There is no evidence in your action, and that is the most disappointing thing. But citizens can still choose. Just avoid anybody that has a criminal charge against them. Read it, it's going to be up on the polling station. Just don't vote for them. That is lesson enough for any politician, because if at the end of the day, the decision is being made by winnability, let's cause them to lose this year. That's a new lesson for the politicians to learn. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.